Welcome to the Phil and H Travel Podcast. Is it worth it?
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, so today we are doing a massive deep dive into a very specific, very popular travel scenario. We're looking at Utrecht in the Netherlands. If you're planning a trip and want the honest, is it worth it verdict before you book, follow the show on Spotify or Apple.
Right, because this is a destination that gets thrown around a lot online.
Oh, constantly. Like, what if I told you that trying to save, I don't know, $50 a night by booking a budget-friendly European hotel outside the capital is actually statistically guaranteed to ruin your vacation?
And, cost you more money in the long run.
Exactly. So you're planning a European getaway, you're looking at the Netherlands, and you inevitably stumble across this piece of conventional travel wisdom. People on forums blindly repeat it.
The classic don't stay in Amsterdam pitch.
Right. It's too crowded, it's a tourist trap, stay in Utrecht.
Yeah.
They sell it as this smart, cheap, low-stress alternative.
With all the same beautiful canals, the bicycle culture, but without the premium price tag.
Yeah, but today we are testing that promise. We've got our hands on a really comprehensive, heavily researched 2026-2027 travel audit. It originally comes from the Phil and H Travel Podcast via viatravelers.com.
It's an incredibly detailed brief.
It really is. So our mission is to perform the ultimate travel due diligence. We are unpacking every single fact, every price, and all the hidden traps in this audit. We want to give you, the listener, the honest verdict on whether Utrecht is actually worth your time and money.
Before you hit that book button. Because honestly, the level of granularity in this source material is exactly why we need to dissect it.
Right.
We aren't just looking at pretty pictures of canals here. We are digging into municipal budget data, hyper-specific local cost indexes, even structural safety assessments.
Which sounds dry, but it's basically the key to not going broke.
Exactly. The reality of European travel in 2026 is that relying on outdated assumptions will absolutely destroy your budget. The economic landscape of these, secondary cities has shifted, especially regarding local taxes and crowd management.
Yeah, so if you go in with a pre-pandemic mindset,
or even just a 2023 mindset.
Right. Assuming Utrecht is just some sleepy discount suburb, your travel fund is going to vanish. So let's start with the biggest myth bust of this entire audit. The idea that Utrecht is just automatically cheaper.
This is where we have to look at the cold, hard logistics.
Why is this audit calling that budget hack a total myth right out of the gate?
Well, the underlying mechanism destroying that myth is municipal taxation. Specifically, the 2026 accommodation tax reality.
The hotel tax.
Right. When a city gets internet famous as the cheap alternative to a major capital, the local government doesn't just sit there. They have to manage the wear and tear on their city.
Which makes sense. I mean, someone has to clean the streets.
Exactly. So if you look at the municipality's own 2026 budget, they are explicitly targeting visitors staying in paid accommodation. The local tax authority, the BGHU, uses a tourist tax that is a strict percentage of your room rate.
And tracing the history of this tax in the audit, it's genuinely alarming if you have a strict spreadsheet.
It's a very deliberate escalation. So in 2024, the tax was sitting at 7%.
Okay, 7%.
Then in 2025, they bumped it to 8.5%. And now for 2026, it is a flat 10% of the turnover.
Wait, a flat 10% of the entire room cost?
Yes. It is not a flat fee of €3 a night like you see in some Italian cities. It's 10% of the total applied every single night.
That is, let's put some real-world math to that. 10% sounds manageable until checkout. Let's say you hunt for deals. You find a boutique room for $200 a night.
Which is a good find.
Yeah, you feel like a genius.
Yeah.
But you aren't paying $200. You're paying a $20 municipal tax every night.
Every single night.
So if you stay 5 nights, that's an extra $100 that just vanishes from your food budget.
And the municipality is really smart about this. They are effectively monetizing the popularity that the budget hack narrative created in the first place.
Wow. So they capture your savings.
Exactly. They know you can save money, so they take a cut to fund their own services. It fundamentally alters the base math before you even fly.
Okay, so the room is instantly 10% more expensive. But die-hard budget travelers will just say, well, fine, I'll pay the tax, but the trains are so good, I'll just commute into Amsterdam every day.
Right, the commuter strategy.
The audit lays out the geography here.
Yeah.
Utrecht is roughly 40 kilometers from Schiphol Airport. The train takes about 30 minutes. Objectively, that sounds like an easy commute,
I
right?
mean, paper 30 minutes is excellent. The Dutch rail network is incredible, but the audit introduces a really vital concept here that goes beyond geography.
The skip if signal. I love this part.
It's so important. They strongly advise that you skip Utrecht entirely if your main strategy is to sleep there to save money, but you plan to commute to Amsterdam every single day.
I am so glad they named this because I've done this. I've booked a place 40 minutes out, feeling so smart. Day 1, it's a fun, novel train ride. Day 2, it's a minor chore.
And by day 3.
By day 3, you are actively resenting the train station. Walk us through how those savings evaporate when you treat Utrecht like a bedroom community.
It's a compounding drain on both your wallet and your energy. First, you have the daily rail fares. Commuting 40 kilometers twice a day adds up fast.
Especially if you don't have the resident discount cards.
Right. But the more insidious cost is the psychological drag. You are trying to sleep in one city while actively living your vacation in another.
It's the late-night friction. Like, imagine you have a beautiful dinner in Amsterdam.
Okay.
The lights are reflecting on the canal. You're having a magical time.
And then you check your watch.
Exactly. Instead of strolling 2 blocks to your bed, you realize you have to navigate to Amsterdam Central, wait for a train, ride for half an hour, get off at Utrecht Central, and find your hotel in the dark.
That realization completely destroys spontaneity. You can't just pop back to your room to drop off shopping bags or grab a warmer jacket.
Your hotel turns into a distant storage locker.
Precisely. And the audit highlights the huge danger of what they call the taxi fallback.
Oh, this is a huge point. Because what happens when that train is delayed or you're just exhausted?
Your brain tricks you. You seek immediate comfort. You look at a ride-hailing app at Schiphol or Amsterdam and think, well, I'm on vacation, I'll just treat myself to a taxi this one time.
And how much is that?
The published airport transfer guidance gives a range of $63 to $80 for that 40-kilometer journey.
$80.
And that is the base rate. That's before heavy traffic or before the driver tells you that your specific romantic hotel is down a pedestrian-only street where cars are literally illegal.
So you pay $80 and still have to drag your suitcase over cobblestones in the dark.
Right. So the definitive takeaway for you, the listener, is this. Choose Utrecht because you actually want Utrecht.
You want to see the Utrecht, the Domplane.
Exactly. Don't choose it just to be a heavily taxed, frustrating discount bed for the capital. If your itinerary is 80% Amsterdam,
Then just stay in Amsterdam. Pay the premium, buy back your time and peace of mind. Okay, let's say you've digested that. You're nodding along saying, yes, I want to see Utrecht for what it is.
a destination in its own right.
Right. Which brings us to how the timing of your trip completely alters the city. It sounds like Utrecht is a financial chameleon depending on the month. How wild are these price swings?
They are severe enough that you need 2 entirely different budgets. The 2026 travel cost guidance reports that prices can spike up to 30% in peak summer.
30% up.
And they can drop by up to 20% in the dead of winter.
That is a 50-point swing. You could book the exact same room, eat the same meal, and feel like you got a bargain or got totally ripped off just based on the calendar.
Entirely based on the month. And it's
Yeah.
not just the money. The audit makes this really subtle, brilliant distinction between tourist queues and traffic flow.
Right, because usually we think of summer crowds as standing in line for 3 hours at the Louvre. What does traffic flow mean in Utrecht?
It means understanding the nature of the city. Utrecht is not a curated museum set for tourists. It's a massive, functioning university hub and a commercial center.
It's a working city.
Exactly. So in peak summer, you aren't just dealing with other tourists clogging the sidewalks. You are injecting thousands of visitors into a tight medieval space that is already at full capacity with normal daily Dutch life.
Right, you're trying to take a romantic photo of a bridge, and there's a guy in a business suit on a heavy Dutch bicycle trying to get to work at 20 kilometers an hour.
Or a delivery cargo bike trying to navigate around your map reading. The friction is environmental. So the audit identifies the optimal months to balance this.
The char.
Late April, May, June, and September.
Okay, so you get the good walking weather, the cafes are open.
Yes, the terraces are operational, but you avoid the absolute zenith of summer congestion and the highest surge pricing.
June gives you the warmth. September is great because the students go back to class. But what about July and August?
July and August are financially hazardous. Prices hit that plus 30% peak, and the core areas, like the Utrecht, become incredibly dense.
So getting a table by the canal is just a fight.
It becomes intense, almost combative. At that point, the best hotels completely shed any illusion of being a bargain. Summer in Utrecht is only worth it if you accept that you are paying premium peak season prices.
What about the other extreme? The winter reality. November to February. You save that 20%. Why not just go then?
You save money, sure, but the audit relies on meteorological data here, and it paints a grim picture. It's not extreme sub-zero snow like Scandinavia. It's the nature of the wet cold.
Oh, I can feel that.
The audit warns of persistent rain, slippery medieval cobbles, strong winds off the North Sea, and a damp chill that just permeates your clothing.
There is a very specific misery in carrying a wheeled suitcase over wet, slippery 15th century cobblestones while freezing wind whips off the canal water.
The thermal mass of the stone and water just sucks the heat right out of you. It's terrible for romantic strolls or managing young kids.
But the audit says it can work for a specific type of traveler, right?
Yes. If you are an indoor traveler, someone who wants to spend 5 hours in a museum and then read a book in a cozy pub, winter is beautiful. But your expectations must align with the weather.
So actionable advice right now. If you want May, June, or September, book central hotels months in advance. Pre-book the Dom Tower. And a crucial warning, never assume that a hotel advertising itself as near Utrecht is actually walkable.
That is a classic false economy.
Right. You save 20 bucks on the room, but you spend it on taxis in the rain because you're stuck in some outer ring.
Which leads perfectly into the logistical reality of arriving. Once you pick your season, you have to physically transition from the airport to your bed. And the audit says arrival is the first major friction point.
This part fascinated me. The audit praises the rail connection, but explicitly warns about the station exit. Walk us through this. Why is walking out of a train station a hurdle?
Because of the immense scale. Utrecht Central is not a quaint provincial stop. It's the central nervous system of the Dutch rail network.
It's massive.
A multi-level hub handling over 1,000 departures a day. High-speed ICE trains, commuter lines, night trains. It's an optimized machine.
And getting there is easy. A second-class e-ticket from Schiphol is about $13, a 30-minute ride.
The train ride is flawless. The friction begins the exact moment you step off the platform and head up the escalator.
Because it doesn't just open onto a quiet street.
No, it keys directly into a gargantuan complex known as Hoog Catherine. It's a massive intersection of retail shopping, transit platforms, and offices.
So you've got buses below, trams curving around, bicycles everywhere.
Thousands of commuters power walking. For a jet-lagged, sleep-deprived tourist, the sensory overload is instantaneous.
I'm picturing it. You drag your bag off the train, you're in this glass atrium staring at a digital board in Dutch, 500 people walking past you, tram bells ringing. You don't know which way is north, you just freeze.
And freezing is exactly what the security portion of the audit warns against. You are in a high-velocity transit corridor.
So what's the actionable advice?
You must pre-save your hotel map offline before your plane even lands. You need to know the exact name of your station exit immediately. Are you going east to the old city or west into the shopping labyrinth?
So the golden rule is, do not stop dead in traffic with your face in your phone.
Never. You become a physical hazard to locals, and you immediately flag yourself as a disoriented tourist, which makes you a prime target for pickpockets in those crowds.
Keep moving. Find a quiet eddy to check your phone. But if you do navigate it, the historic center is right there.
That's the reward. The audit emphasizes that if you're staying near Janskirkhof or the Nudes, you step out of the chaos, cross a street, and you're instantly in the cobblestone charm of the old city.
Which connects to the warning about peripheral hotels. If you booked a concrete business hotel 2 miles out to save money, your first impression isn't a canal. It's standing at a bus terminal with luggage, trying to figure out a local bus app.
It sets a tone of frustration. But let's say you survive the station. Step 2 is putting your bags down. The audit has a brilliant breakdown of accommodation zones and specific 2026 price tiers.
I love the hard numbers here. Let's start with the strict budget tier. Backpackers. What's the financial damage just for a bed?
For a strict budget, the audit establishes a nightly range of $45 to $110.
Okay, 45 isn't terrible.
But geographically, it's strictly utilitarian. Zones adjacent to the station, Lombok, or the far west edge, you are paying for transit access, not a canal view.
They mention the Stay OK Utrecht Centrum as a benchmark. But there are major trade-offs.
Substantial ones: higher ambient city noise, shared dorms, shared bathrooms, and you are at the mercy of supply and demand.
The unforgiving Dutch rule.
Yes. The absolute cheapest beds sell out months before the slightly more expensive ones. If you wait, that $45 bed evaporates, and you're forced to pay $110 for a dorm bed.
Which completely destroys your budget metrics for a shared room. Brutal. Okay, moving up to the mid-range couple. The classic weekend break demographic.
Right. Dual income, no kids. The audit projects $150 to $260 a night.
Plus the 10% tax.
Always manually add the tax. The zones here shift to the heart of the city. Utrecht, Nude, Domplain.
Benchmarks like Mother Goose Hotel, I Hotel, the Knox. And the audit argues the true value here isn't the nice mattress, it's walkability.
Walkability is the ultimate currency of European travel. At the $200 point, you are buying the ability to finish a late dinner, walk along the moonlit canal, and return to your room without checking a transit schedule or hailing a cab.
Zero friction.
Exactly. The seamless experience is what that money finances.
Now the families tier. This is tricky. Nightly rate is $190 to $360. Zones are the quieter museum quarter or Widderfroen. But there is a massive flashing warning light here for families.
It concerns physical space. You cannot assume a Dutch hotel room has the square footage you expect in North America.
Because of the architectural history, right?
Yes. Historically, canal buildings were taxed based on the width of their canal frontage. So the Dutch built narrow, deeply recessed houses with near vertical staircases.
Designed for hoisting cargo, not carrying a massive stroller. I stayed in one of these once. The stairs were basically a wooden ladder. Getting a stroller up there would require mountaineering gear.
Precisely. A hotel might advertise a family room, but it could be incredibly compact. Barely enough space to open 2 suitcases. The audit warns families not to assume they'll have space for kids to run around just because they paid $300.
The historic charm physically limits the internal volume. Makes sense. Finally, the luxury tier. $280 to well over $500 a night. Benchmark is the Grand Hotel Carol V. But the choice here is philosophical.
Right, it's heritage center charm versus modern accessible facilities.
So, sleeping in a centuries-old building with uneven floors and quirky plumbing versus a modern station-adjacent hotel with massive elevators and perfect AC.
It's a calculation of what kind of friction you'll tolerate. But once the accommodation is secured, you have to eat. And dining by the water comes with a specific named catch in the audit.
The View Premium. I love that they named this. Because looking at the grocery numbers in this audit, they are oddly specific. If I refuse to pay the View Premium for every meal, what's my strategy?
The strategy is treating Utrecht as a collection of distinct neighborhoods, not a single food court. If you want a quick, budget-friendly meal, go to Vredenburg or the Nude.
And for a slower cafe vibe.
Head south to Twinstraat or the Museum Quarter. You only pay the View Premium on the Utrecht when you specifically want that romantic, wharf-level dining experience, knowing you're paying for the real estate, not the best culinary value.
To put that in perspective, the audit provides literal grocery store math. A liter of milk is about $1.50, a fresh loaf of bread $2.40, a dozen eggs $5.20, apples are $2.90 a kilo.
Tomatoes are $4.50 a kilo, water is $1.40.
Compare that to dining. A cappuccino is $4 to $5. A cheap casual meal is $15 to $22. A casual beer is $6 to $8. A mid-range budget will hemorrhage if you rely on restaurants for every calorie.
The disparity is huge, mostly driven by the service economy. Staff are paid a living wage, which reflects in the menu prices.
So what's the mitigation strategy?
A $2.40 loaf of fresh bread, local cheese, and meat from Albert Heijn or Jumbo for lunch. Doing that once a day saves a couple $20 easily.
The supermarkets to know. Albert Heijn, Jumbo, Lidl, Aldi, and the open-air market around Vredenburg. Okay, but if you do sit down for a nice dinner, etiquette is key. Cash is out, right?
Card payment is king. It's aggressively cashless. Don't assume you can drop large euro notes. But the tipping culture is what trips most people up.
As an American, my instinct is to calculate 20% on everything.
The audit is emphatic. Do not do that. Tipping is modest. Just round up the bill. If it's 46 euros, leave 50. There is no mandatory 15 or 20% expectation.
Oh, that takes so much pressure off the mental math.
Exactly. Imposing American tipping actually disrupts the local economic norms.
There is one very practical food warning that caught my eye. It just says, kitchens close early.
This connects back to the skip if warning about commuting. If you take a day trip to Amsterdam, stay late for drinks, and get back to Utrecht at 10 p.m., you might assume you can just stroll out and grab a hot meal.
But you can't.
Utrecht is a working city with a standard work-life balance. It's not a 24/7 tourist resort. Many kitchens close their hot food service by 9 p.m.
So if you arrive late without a plan, you're wandering the streets hungry, relying on a vending machine for a fried croquette.
It's a brutal way to end a day.
Seriously. All right, let's synthesize all these disparate data points, the 10% tax, the $13 trains, the $2 bread. We need to look at the daily budget math.
The moment of truth.
I want to push back on one element here. The audit notes that a major publication, via Travelers, identifies $120 a day as a typical mid-range trip.
Yeah.
But this 2026 audit says that's way too tight. Why?
Because that $120 estimate likely relies on older data that doesn't account for the new flat 10% tax or the aggressive summer surge pricing. Stress test that against 2026 realities and the math breaks down.
You end up skipping museums or eating supermarket food for dinner.
Right. So let's break down the profiles.
Okay, the backpacker. The audit says $60 to $95 a day. Wait, how is 60 a day mathematically possible if the cheapest bed is 45, a beer's 8, and there's a 10% tax? The math isn't mathing.
It only works through extreme discipline. You secure the cheapest bed months in advance, you spend $15 to $25 entirely on supermarket food, you walk everywhere.
And crucially, you stay in Utrecht.
Yes. The minute you add a $26 round-trip train to Amsterdam, your daily budget is blown to pieces.
Okay, what about the mid-range profile?
$120 to $190 per person, assuming 2 people split a room. The sweet spot, the comfortable number, is $170.
$170 per person.
Right. At that number, the friction disappears. You cover your half of the room, the 10% tax, a Dom Tower ticket, a museum, and a proper sit-down dinner with wine without panic.
That feels realistic. Now, the family budget, assuming 2 adults, 2 kids, $320 to $620 a day. But there is a massive structural policy win for families in 2026. Explain the UOV policy.
This is incredible. UOV is the primary bus and tram operator. Their policy dictates that children aged 4 to 11 travel completely free when accompanied by a paying adult.
Oh.
Up to 3 kids per adult.
That is staggering. Transit costs for a family of 4 usually bleed a budget dry.
Exactly. The municipal logic is they want to incentivize transit and keep rental cars out of the old center. It removes a massive point of friction.
But the audit notes you still need $40 to $100 daily for family attractions like the Miffy Museum or Railway Museum. So your spend depends on if your kids are fine walking the canals or if they need paid entertainment.
Right.
Okay, the luxury profile. $420 to $850 a couple. But luxury here means space and calm, not resort services.
A vital distinction. Luxury in a historic Dutch city means a large, quiet room in a heritage building, using taxis when it rains, eating premium meals. It does not mean private cabanas and hyper-attentive concierges.
You're paying to bypass logistics. Finally, the digital nomad, $3,200 to $5,200 a month. The transit caps are fascinating here.
Dutch Transit is incredibly efficient. They use OV Pay. You just tap your regular contactless credit card on the reader when you board and exit.
No special apps or physical cards?
None. The system does the math. Daily cap is about $11. Monthly UOV cap is $114. Off-peak unlimited is about $34 a month.
So transit is mathematically predictable. What's the budget killer for nomads?
Housing and municipal registration rules. Renting legal short-stay accommodation in a high-demand university city is painfully expensive. The audit essentially asks, do you really need the prestige of Utrecht? Or would a cheaper secondary Dutch city work just as well?
Tough question. But let's assume the budget is sorted. This is where the audit takes a darker turn. Because even with a perfect spreadsheet, Utrecht has physical and logistical traps that can ruin an afternoon. Let's name them. What is trap 1? The Schiphol taxi fallback trap.
The mechanism is pure fatigue. You land, your circadian rhythm is destroyed, you look at a transit map, and your brain gives up. You assume an $80 taxi is a harmless convenience.
But it's a massive mistake.
Unless you have mobility constraints, yes. A train doesn't get stuck in highway traffic. But more importantly, the center of Utrecht is highly restricted for cars.
So the taxi can't even get to your hotel.
Right. The driver drops you at a bollard, points down a cobbled street, and you drag your bags the last 4 blocks anyway.
You pay $80 to struggle over cobblestones. That's the ultimate false economy. Trap 2 is the Hugh Catherine orientation trap.
The mechanism here is architectural. Hoog Catherine is intentional design with curving corridors to keep consumers inside browsing. Tired travelers step off the train, follow one ambiguous sign, and get hopelessly lost in a maze of food courts.
And the danger isn't just frustration, it's petty theft.
Exactly. From a thief's perspective, a traveler gets confused, stops moving, puts their bags down, and stares blankly at Google Maps. They become a stationary, distracted target.
So pre-save your route and keep moving. Keep your head on a swivel. Trap 3 is my favorite, the bike lane confidence trap.
The mechanism is cultural misunderstanding. Tourists assume Dutch cycling is a leisurely theme park ride. A yellow bike, a wicker basket pedaling slowly over a bridge.
And the reality is a brutal awakening.
Utrecht is a high-volume commuter city. You wobble into a bike lane during rush hour and you are surrounded by locals on heavy steel bikes, moving at high speed, commuting to high-stress jobs.
They are not on vacation.
No. A hesitant tourist who suddenly stops to take a photo is an actual physical hazard. The penalty could be a severe collision that ruins your trip.
It's like stepping onto a high-speed treadmill when you don't know how to run. The fix is blunt. Walk the old center first. Don't rent a bike unless you are highly confident in urban cycling.
Which transitions seamlessly into safety, solo travel, and comfort.
Right. Is violent crime something I need to actively worry about? Or is the main danger just getting run over by a bicycle commuter?
Safety data confirms violent crime is exceedingly low. The hierarchy of risk is distraction theft in the station, the sheer density of crowds, minor nightlife spillover late at night, and bike collisions.
What about solo female travelers?
Exceptionally safe. Rated as one of the lower stress city breaks. But the guidance says, ensure your accommodation is central. The Utrecht and Nude remain well lit and populated.
But after midnight?
Avoid empty, lower-level canal paths and badly lit residential shortcuts. Stick to main arteries.
Just smart urban navigation. What about families or travelers with mobility needs?
Yeah. The health profile is perfect. Tap water is safe. Food standards are high. But the physical friction is very high.
You mean the tiny stairs and the cobblestones?
Yes. Centuries-old cobbles are exhausting with a stroller or wheelchair. But a unique hazard in historic Dutch cities is unprotected canal edges.
Wait, no railings at all?
In many areas, absolutely none. Just a drop into deep water. A wandering toddler or distracted adult could easily fall in. Combine that with the lack of elevators in heritage hotels, and the physical demands are non-trivial.
You really have to assess your group's stamina. Okay, we've done the warnings and traps. Let's talk about the reward. What delivers and what falls flat. If I'm there for a weekend, what is the single best moment I have to chase?
The absolute pinnacle experience, which is totally free, is walking the Utrecht at the wharf level. Utrecht has a unique two-tiered canal system. You have the street above, and down at the waterline, vaulted cellars open onto a paved walkway right next to the canal.
But the trick is timing, right?
Timing is everything. Do it early morning, around 6 or 7 a.m. or late at night. In the middle of a summer day, the magic is flattened by crowds hunting for tables. But early on, when the mist is on the water, you genuinely feel the weight of the history.
Beautiful. And the second best is the Dom Tower.
The bell tower.
Yeah.
But the catch is preparation. Adult tickets are $17, child is $10. Combo with museum Spielglock is $27. But you must book in advance, and you cannot bring bags into the tower. You have to use the lockers.
So 465 winding steps.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely don't want a heavy bag anyway. Okay, what are the honest disappointments?
Incorrect expectations. If you expect a perfectly curated, quiet, museum-set village, you'll be disappointed. It's a loud, vibrant working city with infrastructure noise and taxes.
And the other major disappointment?
Canal dining. The classic tourist trap. The view premium you pay rarely matches the culinary quality. Sit for a coffee or a drink to soak in the atmosphere, but don't expect a Michelin-level experience just because you're next to a beautiful canal.
Pay for the view once, then retreat to the neighborhoods for good food.
Okay, if a listener is hearing all this, the taxes, the aggressive bikes, the tiny stairs, the unprotected canals, and realizing Utrecht isn't the effortless paradise they pictured, where should they pivot?
If proximity to Amsterdam is your priority, the audit points to Haarlem.
Why Haarlem?
Geography and logistics. Daily costs are similar, but travel time to Amsterdam Central is shorter, 15 to 20 minutes, plus rapid access to the coast and beaches. It's just smoother as a daily launch pad into the capital.
What if I don't care about Amsterdam? I just want a quintessential, quiet Dutch experience that costs less than Utrecht.
Pivot south to Delft. Exquisitely preserved, much smaller historic center. Pairs beautifully with short trips to The Hague or Rotterdam. and daily operating costs can run $20 to $60 lower per day than Utrecht.
$60 a day is huge. What's the trade-off?
Scale and energy, less nightlife, fewer massive cultural amenities, and less robust high-speed rail connectivity compared to Utrecht Central. It's a quieter trip. That brings us to the grand finale, the "Is it worth it?" matrix. I'm going to call out the traveler personas, and you give me the final score and verdict from the source. Backpacker.
6 out of 10. Worth it only if you secure a central bed for $60 to $95 a day total spend. Skip the canal dinners, avoid daily regional transit. If you can't maintain that discipline, go to Delft.
Mid-range couple.
8 out of 10. Perfect demographic. Worth it at $150 to $260 a night, provided you actually spend your evenings immersed in Utrecht's walkability and cafe culture, not commuting from Amsterdam at midnight.
Family of 4.
7 out of 10. Solid choice if you can absorb 3 $20 to $620 a day, your kids can walk, and you maximize the UOV free transit policy. Skip if you require massive hotel rooms or a perfectly stroller-friendly environment.
Luxury traveler.
6 out of 10. Worth it if luxury means a calm, historic building and you have 4 $20 to $850 a day. Skip if you demand resort-level concierge service or effortless car access. Amsterdam wins on international standard service.
Digital nomad or solo traveler.
7 out of 10. Worth it for the safe walking and cafe culture, assuming you can stomach the $3,200 to $5,200 monthly cost. It completely fails if you need cheap, easy, short-stay rental apartments.
So the overall verdict from this immense audit is book carefully. The ideal trip is 2 to 4 nights, central accommodation, 1 tower climb, 1 overpriced but beautiful canal meal, and the rest of the time just walking and observing.
And skip it entirely if your itinerary is 80% focused on being in another city. You have to respect the city for what it is, rather than forcing it to be a discounted version of somewhere else.
Which brings us to the end of a truly incredible amount of due diligence. The sheer density of information here proves that Utrecht is magnificent, but only if you respect it as its own living, working city, not just a discount waiting room.
If you apply the hard data and the psychological warnings we've discussed today, you can unlock the absolute best version of the city while protecting your budget.
I want to leave you with a final philosophical thought to mull over as you plan your itinerary. Consider the paradox of the working city versus the tourist city. Utrecht might legitimately frustrate you because it actively refuses to cater to your every whim.
The bikes won't stop for your perfect photo.
Exactly. The hotels are taxed to support local infrastructure, not give you a discount. The streets are full of locals just trying to live their lives. But isn't that exact refusal to become a manicured, artificial theme park the very thing that makes a city actually worth visiting in the long run?
It's authentic and real because it has to be.
Exactly. Something to think about. If this gave you the honest verdict you needed, follow the show. New episodes drop every day.
That is the honest verdict from Phil and H.